Hey everyone, our woman of the Bible for today is Rebekah, and I'm sure you probably know a Rebekah in your life. Either she's your best friend or she's an acquaintance. I know so many Rebekahs that sometimes it's hard to keep them apart when I'm talking about them. But Rebekah in the Bible was different. She was known as a beautiful woman, and her story starts when she was a young girl. And we see right off the bat that she was not only beautiful, but she was a hard worker. And who doesn't like a hard worker? Somebody that's industrious is not only a hard worker physically, but a lot of times they have a lot of other areas in their life figured out. They're not lazy. They work through things, and they're not scared of hard things. So we first meet her when she came to the well to draw water, and she also offered a stranger at the well to draw water to water his camels. Now, to us, we don't think about that too much, but when you study into it, drawing water for camels is a huge, overwhelming job, but she offered to do it. So that tells you a little bit about her. So anyway, she ended up going to a different country, far, far from her home, to marry a complete stranger. And we see how that she was willing. There's verses in the Bible that shows how she was willing. She had faith and courage. She was a brave young woman. And we see, when we look at that part of her life, we're really impressed. Rebekah was a pretty amazing woman. But then we see that just like her great aunt, she was childless. And I think it was about 20 years she did not have any children. And we see in there that her husband interceded for her, which is awesome. That means there must have been a good relationship between her and her husband at that time, at least. And he interceded, and God answered. And God not only gave her a son, he gave her two. Talk about double blessings. That's awesome. You know, waiting 20 years and then suddenly having two. It was such an exciting time. But we soon see that it didn't last very long. Soon, favoritism showed up. And it basically ruined the family. She played favorites with Jacob, and Isaac played favorite with Esau. And it split the family and caused so many hardships later on in life. You know, and it turned to a lie when they started stealing the birthright and taking advantage, and then it turned to anger when Isaac and Esau found out that what had happened, their own mom had tricked them, their own wife, and it turned to a lot of anger, and it ended up turning to a lot of pain and sorrow for Rebekah. She ended up destroying her own life because her son had to end up running away, running for his life. And it all went back to this choosing favorites. And we see that Rebekah showed very little love for Esau, the oldest one. It says, Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. And also we see that Isaac was not going out and finding a wife for Esau. So in turn, he went out and found his own wife. And then there again, because Rebekah was not caring for her son the way she should have been, it says that Esau ended up choosing wives that were a pain to Rebekah and Isaac. So there again, because of showing favorites, some things didn't turn out too great, and she was having pain and agony because of this favorite thing. And then also we see, you know, how that they tried to trick. The trickery that was involved also caused pain with her favorite. She ended up choosing her son over her husband and her other son. And it ended up he having to go away, and it was pain. So we see from Rebekah, we see two things. Playing favorites will ruin your family. I don't care if it's a brother and sister playing favorites or if it's parents playing favorites, but moms, you especially, if you're going to play favorites, you're going to split your family. It's going to be a mess, and not only will they pay for it and have hardships, but you will too. There will be pain and hardships in your life. We also see that deceit creates barriers. If we're not upfront and truthful, we will pay for it. It is a big mess when all that stuff finally comes out, and it tears people apart. It tears families apart. It creates barriers and pain and heartaches, all because we're not truthful. So when we think about Rebekah, she started out awesome. She started out a hard worker, courageous, full of faith and beautiful. And we find out that because a lot of it came from playing favorites, just totally ruined her life, ruined her family, ruined her children, gave her pain and heartaches. So a takeaway I would say from Rebekah is do not play favorites. It will ruin your life, and it will ruin other people around you's life too. Remember, love is the answer to everything. Love y'all.